a retro gamer and hobbyist artist with a lot of nerve. Crolister, the master of ponage. Hi guys, Crolister here with the third part of the Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green Let's Play. In this episode, we will be taking on Cerulean City and its features. Fire Red and Leaf Green have this previously on your quest, Hocus Pocus. You can cancel it by pressing B. There's one item you can get in Cerulean City by talking to someone. In this very house, the old man here talks to you about berries, and then gives you the powder jar. The house directly to the right of where the old man that trades you your Poliwhirl for his Jinx is, and that has a hidden rare candy in the backyard. After you talk to Bill and get the SS ticket, the police officer moves aside, and you can enter the house that Team Rocket had busted right through. And on your way out, you gotta battle the grunt right here. Let's whoop him. I taught my Wartortle Water Pulse. I'd rather have that than the extremely weak Bubble. And then he has a Drowsy. Bite's super effective on it. Only problem is it's very weak. You better not hypnotize me. Seriously, I hate stats problems. We all do. So, there you go. And he gives you Dig. And then, from here, you can go south. Showing you what I earned. The technical machine you get in the route on your way to meet Bill that requires cut or to have the trainer walk up to you has secret power, which is useful in the Hoenn region for making secret bases, which was always fun. If you go along the grass and ledges down here, you will come across a Pokemon daycare where somebody will raise your Pokemon and make it grow levels just by having you run around in the field, at the cost of some money. I used it to level up some of my Pokemon in this game until they were ready to evolve. So it's very, very useful in my opinion. And for some reason there's a girl that'll trade you a Nidoran for the opposite Nidoran, even though you can get both in both games. You have to use the underground path for the moment because police officers are restricting access to Saffron City. Master of Ponage. About that, I just randomly found a hidden rare candy. Alright, let's fight some trainers. Bet you can't guess what kind of Pokemon this bug catcher is gonna have. My Pidgeotto also learned the move Wing Attack, which, while I was grinding off cam, which will help because it's a stronger flying type move than Gust. No Metapod or Kakuna. Shame. Now, even though these trainers are facing each other, they are trainers that fight you if you talk to them. I will be fighting every trainer on every route, including the ones that can be avoided. Because I need the experience points and money. Here's a Squirtle. A way over-leveled Squirtle. Interesting. Alright, that's gonna be a bit of a problem. I just couldn't OHKO him, that's all. Like I said, Bite's really weak. Does Blastoise learn Crunch in this game? Can't remember. Hopefully he does. Here we go with the Rattata BS again. Fighting Pokemon with priority attacks sucks. And here's another one that has one, Pikachu. And, of course, you also have Static to worry about. I love Pikachu. That doesn't change the fact that he can be annoying to battle against. Here's another bug catcher. This one actually has a Butterfree. And its moveset is... You ready? Poison Powder, Sleep Powder, Stun Spore, and Supersonic. Although it's ideal for me to level up my Pikachu and Pidgeotto against it, it would be like the worst Pokemon ever to grind against for anybody else. And then down here we have a couple of unavoidables. Guess what move Pidgey has? Yep. I'm not playing around here. Seriously, 3 of the same Pokemon. And they're all like the same level as well. That's just disgusting. Eradicates. If only my Mankey didn't get paralyzed. And I land a crits. And now, we can enter Vermilion City. And I gotta reload, cause as you saw, I got paralyzed. Mankey did, I mean. That's not good. This girl right here gives you an extremely useful key item called the Versus Seeker, which, after a few steps in a row, gives you the ability to rebattle trainers outside. Extremely helpful for getting money and leveling your Pokemon up. I highly recommend using it in this game and the Sinnoh region games, the only games it's available in. There are some other items in this city that we need to get by talking to people as well. There's the fisherman that gives you the old rod, though the old rod is pretty useless, considering that you can only ever catch a Magikarp with it. And as you saw in the previous episode, you can buy a Magikarp at a Pokemon Center. And we all know Magikarp is utterly useless. It's also a pain to evolve into a Gyarados, since it levels up slowly. And doesn't learn a usable move until level freaking 15. The gentleman in what's called the Pokemon Fan Club gives you a bike voucher. After a long story. You need the bike voucher to get the bicycle back in Cerulean City. The merchant says he sells it for 1,000,000 Pokédollars, and it's actually impossible to get 1,000,000 Pokédollars. The money counter stops at 999,999. They did that specifically to troll the player, I think. Nintendo does that every so often. This girl will trade you your Spearow for her Farfetch'd. I have another Spearow besides this one, so sure. I need to get different Pokemon. Throughout the course of the game to get different items from the assistants. I need to get like at least 50 for the experience share much later. So I need all the help I can get here. Cha-ding! Seriously. Farfetch'd is an utterly useless Pokemon, though this in-game trade is the one and only way you can get it in this game. So, you might as well. A lot of people hate Mr. Mime and Jinx as well, and in-game trades are the only way you can get them in this game. Still no Great Balls, huh? Gonna have to progress a bit further. Actually, I'm still gonna buy some ordinary Pokeballs anyway, just so I can have them in the event that I get a chance to catch one that I didn't already get. Better safe than sorry, they say. I'll board the SS Sand in a bit. For now, let's see what we got to the east. Lots more trainers we gotta fight. Or that we should fight, so they're out of the way. Ah, I hate Ekans. They're surprisingly pretty bulky compared to what you got in this point in the game. Of course, Water Pulse also has the added bonus in that it has a chance of inflicting confusion, which also makes it pretty useful. Hugo, that's the name of my Incineroar on DeviantArt. They had to change the name of the gamblers to gamers, which sounds more appropriate, I guess. Though the casino is obviously still in the game. And the gamers have a couple of different Pokemon of the same type. And there are 4 different elemental types in the same route with them, which is interesting. Like this one has water types. Ran right in the face of one. An engineer with Magnemites. That's gonna be slightly a bit of a problem with Wartortle. Keep in mind that the Magnemite line is Steel type, so it has a lot of resistances. Although I have a Pokemon that it's weak against, a Fighting type. Not so scary anymore. He even has a Magneton. Nice. He has the Nidorans. Or male Nidoran and Nidorino. And I have no Pokemon that have a type advantage over it as yet. I got one after this episode of the recording. You also have to be careful of the Poison Point ability as well. After a quick reload, I'm back to fight the rest of them. This gamer's got grass types. That's bad for Wartortle. Good. Then I can just use Pidgeotto on the Oddish. No prob. See what this is. An X defend, huh? I pretty much never use the battle items or the X items. I've only really ever used it in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon against Ultra Necrozma. Because that's like the method to really beat it, in my opinion. Level up. You absolutely must have an electric type on your team in any playthrough. Otherwise, flying types can be quite a headache, especially Gyarados. If you go up against a Gyarados and have no electric type, you're essentially screwed. Most Fire Red and Leaf Green players will probably use a Jolteon. I'm using the Raichu. What will eventually become a Raichu. You can get Pikachu earlier in the game than Eevee, so... How did I know he was gonna have a Steel type? Unnecessary critical hits. This gamer uses the fire types, Growlithe and Vulpix. That Intimidate's not going to do much for you there. I probably should have been more afraid of the Vulpix, because guess what move it has? Effing Quick Attack. So... more Rattatas. Let's get Mankey out here. There's Eradicate as well. Unnecessary critical hits. And we have reached the level where Mankey becomes Primeape. This will be a force to be reckoned with against normal types and stuff. Nah. Can't fool me that easily. It's an escape rope. Useful. There's one more gamer. And this one has electric types. I do a little bit of grinding from here. There's a great ball. At least I can find some by pickup. Going eastward, there's the infamous sleeping Pokemon blocking the road, Snorlax. I just love how there has to be one on both sides to go to Fuchsia City. There's one that trades a Nidorino for a Nidorina as well. Why? This is one of the professor's assistants. If you obtain 30 different kinds of Pokemon, he gives you the item finder. I do that off camera after I finished recording this video. Just remember, he's here, and he gives you the item finder after getting 30 different Pokemon. While doing some personal grinding with my primate, I caught a Drowsy. I figured maybe I could use Hypno as my psychic type. And of course, we got Diglett's cave right here. And Diglett is a horrendous Pokemon to encounter by chance. They're very fast, they tend to be a bit trolly, and they have the ability Arena Trap, which prevents you from running away, and you can't even switch out. That's not to say I wasn't going to catch one. I'm going to use a Dugtrio exclusively in this episode, because it's really the only ground type I can really get for the gym. We must go through the SS Sand now. I guess we'll just start here. More Nidoran. Got that quickie out of the way. Quick attack! Another Nidoran. Just the female one. I'm a complete moron for doing this. You're not a trainer? Break, break. Excellent. I'm gonna teach that to my primate. Fluff and filler. A trainer that fights you at the very moment you enter the room. Wow. Wow. Not quite enough. Wow! Unnecessary crits. And poison points. Now that's just terrible. It just so happens the very adjoining room is a rest area. That intimidate's not gonna scare me. I mean, it's pretty useless for a fire type to have intimidate against a water type, especially in the older games like this one. Again, that's not gonna do crap against me. Because physical and special moves are classified by type in Gen 3 and down. The special types, just for the record, are fire, water, grass, electric, psychic, ice, dark, and dragon. The other types besides that, including ghost, are physical types. There's an acronym to help you remember that. There is an evolution for every type that is a special move, except for dragon, and then dragon is also special. Another great ball, nice. In Gen 4 onwards, every move can be classified as physical or special by statement, which helps some Pokemon like Dragonite out a lot competitively. These pots have different kinds of berries in them. Hyper Potion, interesting. So we got here. A Super Potion, not as interesting as the former. We got some Salers to battle. It's kind of a good idea that they didn't reuse the Sailor sprite from Ruby and Sapphire for Fire Red and Leaf Green. They have them saluting like an actual salute instead of the get effed gesture that they did in Ruby and Sapphire that they had to change in the international version. Sailors use mostly water types, so that'll be ideal for leveling up my Pikachu. Some of them have a Machop. Pikachu will be leveling up very soon. There's one that ambushes you as soon as you enter the room. Alright, let's level Pikachu up. Now, let's see what we got in here for me to steal. Obtain an Ether. You know, I never really use those, because I never really need to use them in any game. Alright, let's see what we have in here. Rest. One more room in the basement, and then we'll go to where we really need to go. It has a couple more trainers, including a fisherman and another sailor. So, more Pikachu work, I'm afraid. Alright, Pikachu will level again while I battle the Sailor here. He has a Machop. Lovely. Still an Oko, so... Alright, that's the entirety of the basement. Now, we're gonna go into the upper floor. Recording lag from my computer. Yeah, there's one blocking both of the routes to go to Fuchsia City there. Pikachu's maximum vitality at this level is a bad number. Come to think of it, 67 is also a bad number, if you're offended by the 7 meme. So... It doesn't have a meaning, it's just a reference to a song, and it became a viral meme for some reason. Gotta fight the gentleman as well if you want the item. He's a Pikachu. That's definitely not good for Wartortle, especially with that level. Outspeeds me and all. I take a hit with Thunder Wave. Didn't even knock him out. Will this virtually useless piece of crap Diglett be able to hold through? Double team. And it doesn't even stay confused. Alright, this is gonna infuriate me. Like I said, Pikachu can be quite a nuisance to go up against. Stardust. Pretty cheesy item that you can only sell for some money. Alright, so after a recharge, I'm back in action to see what's in the other rooms. Fluff and filler. There we go, some more people to battle. Another Pikachu, seriously. Why am I even bothering? This Pokemon is completely useless. It even has quick attack. At least that O-code. Next attack, probably just gonna sell that. See what this gentleman has. Growlithe. That's gonna be no problem for Wartortle. Intimidate and all. Maybe I could catch my own Growlithe and use an Arcanine later in the playthrough. It's just, it evolves with a stone, and you have to be careful about evolving Pokemon that evolve with stones, because they usually stop learning moves after evolving. Some exceptions, like the Evolutions. And Ponyta was never a prize for me. Well, Wartortle will be leveling again soon. And then he'll be over my badge level. Just kidding. That only applies to traded Pokemon. Pokemon you catch yourself will always obey you without question. Only the outsiders that have an identity number other than yours will actually disobey you if they're over-leveled. So you can level your own Pokemon past level 30 with the Cascade Badge, etc. Alright, you have to fight Gary up ahead. And I already know what Pokemon he opens with. So, I came prepared. Does he have a different sprite from before? Take this. Eradicate, that'll be good for Primeape. Unnecessary crits. I see you evolved your Abra as well. Bite is strong enough to knock it out because the Abra line is super frail. Protects. Definitely not. There you go. Now you evolve your starter. Hammered. Pidgeotto levels up as well. The captain of the ship is in the room up ahead. I'll interface with that later. There's still one more area I haven't visited. That's the bow of the ship. Hilarious how I can actually walk over the chairs. Both of the sailors that fight you on this part open with a mach chop, which is, good to know, since I started with War Turtle against them. One more level up for Pikachu, sure. And that's pretty much all there is on the SSN area. I'm just making sure. After you deal with your rival, you gotta attend to the captain of the ship. After so, he gives you cut, which you're gonna need to have. Shouldn't have looked. Now, the SSN doesn't leave if you exit it until you get the hidden machine and help the captain. After helping the captain and getting the hidden machine, after leaving the ship, it sets sail. And it's gone for the rest of the game. Well, I'm not sure if this applies to Fire Red and Leaf Green or not, especially with the Survey Islands. Hocus Pocus. It is a true fact that in the Gen 1 games, if you let yourself get knocked out in a trainer battle, you could surf on the coastline of the SSN, and then there would be a truck at a loading site. Some people like to say that there's a special reward like a Mew that you could get at that truck, though everybody should know by now that that's a bunch of BS. Alright, I severely need to level up this crappy Diglett until it evolves into a Dugtrio. So I'm using the Pokemon daycare, and while I'm at it, back in Cerulean, I'm going to get my bicycle. Simply run around or cycle around a bunch while you have a Pokemon at the daycare south of Cerulean, and you will be able to level it up quickly. You just have to level it up yourself in order to evolve it. And I taught Cut to an Oddish. At least that's one less entry I need in the Pokédex. One step closer to the item finder. You need Cut in order to access the 3rd gem, and the area you go in Cerulean after the 3rd gem. We're dealing with the electric type. Of course, ground types have the direct advantage over electric types, since it's super effective on them, and ground types are completely immune to them. It's just with this, I have to rely on a crappy RNG move. Or Dig, which makes you wait one turn. Quick attack! And the crits! I had to reload after that. Just so you know, Magnemite does not have Levitate as an ability. I remember in Gen 4 onwards, it's Magnet Pull or Sturdy, and Sturdy doesn't work like it does in the Gen 5 games. So I get crappy Magnitude 4, it doesn't OHKO it despite being a quad weakness, and it hits me with Supersonic. That is not acceptable. There's one other trainer besides the gym leader, and it's an unavoidable. He just has a Pikachu. Then after you battle all of the trainers in the gym, you have to go through the fun part of finding the switches to open the electric gates. You have to find the switches both in direct succession, or the electric gate resets. After finding the first one, the second one should be directly next to it. And there you go, we can battle Lieutenant Surge. We'll see. Can't really do much against the ground type, even one of the crappiest ones in the entire series. You think I enjoy doing this part of the recording? No, I hate Dugtrio. I'd say it's my least favorite ground type. I got crappy Magnitude 4, and that was a crit, so, yeah, bad. Mud Slap is extremely weak, so it's not really worth downing its accuracy over going for the OHKO. Being lucky about it, rather. Seriously, although Dugtrio might be one of the biggest pains to ever go up against in the wild, it's borderline unusable as a playthrough Pokemon. And I would say going up against Lieutenant Surge is like the only point in the entire series where Dugtrio can actually be somewhat useful. Raichu's not a pushover, so... Alright, and now that we've beaten Lieutenant Surge, I am going to stuff Dugtrio's 3 rears into the computer, the Pokemon storage system, and never touch it again. There are plenty of other ground types we can get later in the playthrough that are significantly better to use than that piece of crap. So we get the Thunder Badge, which is supposed to slightly increase your Pokemon's speed, and the Technical Machine for the move Shockwave, a moderately damaging electric-type attack that never misses. One of Professor Oak's assistants just appears here after you beat that gym, and tells you need to return to a previous route to meet another assistant. And the only way we can do that is to go through Diglett's cave. If you're not willing to be forced to grind repeatedly for a really long stretch, you should probably buy some repels. I will be leveling up my war turtle a bit more while I wait through this, so I'll just skip out the wild Pokemon encounters. Remember, you can't even run away from Diglett or Dugtrio regardless of speed. You can't even switch your Pokemon during the battle, because of their Arena Trap ability. That's one of the reasons why I hate them so much. Same as with a lot of other people. Everybody hates Diglett and Dugtrio by now, I'm sure. Supposedly, they made this tunnel themselves. You need to bring a Pokemon with cuts with you as well. I still got my Oddish in me. That's not him. The guy with the Game Boy Advance system will trade you your Abra for his Mr. Mime. I have no Abra. It's almost impossible to catch one in the wild until you get Ultra Balls. Because they always have teleport, which cancels the battle immediately. So the best way to get it is with the Celadon Game Corner. This is the assistant you need to meet. You need to have at least 10 different Pokemon obtained, and then he will give you the hidden machine for Flash, which you need at that very moment. Like Cut, I'm just gonna teach this to the same Oddish. It can be one of my hidden machine slaves. Another Ether. Paralyze Heal, meh. There might be a hidden item there. And as long as you have a Pokemon with Cut on you, you can just go through here, and we can now return to Cerulean City at will. And that is where this episode of the Let's Play is going to leave off. Till another day. Consider subscribing or at least checking out my channel if you like any of the franchises here, because I play and talk about them a lot and want to continue doing so for my channel. I am a hobbyist artist that makes fan art of a bunch of different characters and franchises I like, and will occasionally come out with Let's Plays of mostly retro games like this one that I feel like are worth playing for sport on my channel. I have quite a lot in mind, so consider checking me out if you are interested. I will come out with the 4th episode of this Let's Play in a week or so. So stay tuned for that and plenty more. I am Crolister, Master of Ponage. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content. And I will see you guys very soon.